How have the new NAR rules affected sellers? You definitely want to watch this video if you're looking to sell your home. So you've probably heard a lot of talk about how the new rule changes post NAR settlement on August 17th affect the buyers. But how do they affect the sellers? So today, we're going to go over what we're seeing on our listings right now, as well as what the old way looked like and now the new way. So if you are a seller, you really want to make sure you watch this video. All right, so again, the commissions have been decoupled. So now you have two separate negotiations, not one. You might be asking yourself, Scott, what does that really mean? So the buyer's agent has to negotiate with their buyer when it comes to the agreement with the buyer and their agent. And then also the buyer's agent has to negotiate once again when it comes time to submitting an offer with the seller. So now the listing agent's job is not about obtaining the highest price. It's really about helping the seller achieve the highest net as possible. So the new listing structure, the listing agent only negotiates with the seller what their compensation will be. That's it. So it makes absolutely no sense to get the seller to agree to an amount to pay a buyer agent up front. So what the listing agent needs to do is set the expectation up front to review any and all offers to reach the seller's net proceeds goal. And we also discussed that, hey, the offers from other agents will most likely ask for compensation between 1 to 3%. Now remember, in the old way, the listing agent collects compensation for the listing and the buyer's broker at the time of the listing. And the listing broker offers a portion of the commission to a buyer agent for procuring the buyer. And so typically the seller would pay between 5 to 6% in total agent compensation. Well, hey, in the new way, the listing agent collects compensation for just the listing broker only at the time of the listing. So the buyer's agent will include the buyer broker compensation as part of the offer. So most likely you're going to see the same compensation being given, but it's just really structured in a different way. And that's exactly what we're seeing on our offers right now. So we're seeing right now on our offers that we're actually presenting those offers to the listing agent, and vice versa on our listings, that the compensation is still being given right now, but it really comes down to what the seller's net price is going to be. So you may ask yourself, well, why did we have to enter the compensation in the multiple listing service before? It's a great question, right? Well, we did so because the MLS, the multiple listing service, required some type of compensation to be entered into the MLS to participate in the MLS. So that's why we did it. So because we were not allowed to put a zero field in the multiple listing service, so as a result of that, we had to put something in there. And then many brokerages didn't want to be seen as discount brokerages, so they required their agents to offer 2 to 3%. Now look, at the end of the day, what we're telling our sellers is all offers are good news if you're a seller. The likelihood that a buyer's agent is going to ask for some type of buyer's compensation, well, now it's all negotiable now. So one argument that I hear is that there are going to be less showings without having buyer agent commission up front. Well, this is actually false. This is a false narrative. And what are we seeing? It's actually the opposite. And at the end of the day, what we're seeing is showings are the same on our listing, offers are the same on our listing, and no buyer is telling their agent, hey, you know what? If you don't get paid, then I'm willing to walk away from that home that is perfect for my family, close to my work, and great schools. Nobody thinks like that. So none of the houses right now that are on the market, almost all of them are offering some type of compensation right now. And guess what? They're still selling. The biggest question we are getting right now on our listings is being asked by the buyer's agents themselves. Are you offering compensation to buyer's agents? And the question is no different when we would get a call if a home is listed at $1 million and the buyer's agent will ask, hey, do you think the seller will accept an offer at $900,000? And we would always say, put the offer in writing and we'll present to the seller. Either they'll accept the offer or they're going to give you a counter offer. So either way, you're going to get a response. And at the end of the day, you have to be asking yourself, well, why would this be any different? You know, would your seller offer any compensation to the buyer's agent? And when we get that question, my response is, hey, my seller is open to any and all offers that make sense. Put it in writing. I'll get it in front of the seller and they will either accept it or send it to you a counter offer. So I have no idea what the seller will do. So you have to submit a contract, put your buyer agent compensation as part of the offer, and I'll get it in front of the seller. So because so many agents are tied to the old way of doing business, I think it's going to take a few months, maybe even a little longer, for this to be the norm for agents to kind of really fully understand. But what if a seller says, you know what, Scott, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent commission at all. Maybe they heard in the news they don't have to. They want to put their feet in the sand. They don't even care if they make more money. They don't want to pay a buyer's agent. And they are just absolutely flat out against it. And the only way that this happens is if the listing agent does not set the expectation like we talked about before with the seller. So I'll be honest with you, I don't know many sellers who are that rigid that they'd be willing to sell their home for less money based on some arbitrary philosophy. And I don't care, you know, if I make another $50,000, I'm not paying $30,000 in order to, you know, basically make more money. I just don't want to pay that buyer's agent commission. Well, guess what? I can't imagine that happen. To me, that's almost unfathomable that the seller would actually be willing to take less money. And at the end of the day, the conversation we're going to have with the seller is going to be, hey, look, we're going to remarket this property to all buyers. We have to present all offers to you. And really it comes down to, like we were talking about before, what you are going to net. So if you have an offer at $1 million, let's just say that asks for a 2% compensation, and another offer at $1,125,000 at 2.5%, you're going to take the offer that nets you more, right? You don't care that you're paying more. So hopefully that explanation makes a lot of sense. And hopefully this video gives you a little more clarity if you're a seller, what the NAR rules, how the changes are starting to play out and that we're seeing on our listings right now, that this kind of gives you a much better idea. And these are the conversations that we're having with our clients right now about the new rule changes. And at the end of the day, it has not deterred home buyers. It has not deterred home sellers. So if you have any questions or need further information about this, feel free to reach out. You can always call me at 818-396-3311. That's 818-396-3311. And thanks again for watching this video.